All right, let's get right into it. Today we're talking about board governance. And I know that sounds a little dry, but stick with me because we're going to break it down from something that sounds like corporate jargon into what it really is, a super powerful tool that can give any organization a serious competitive edge.
So let's be real for a second. When you hear the term board governance, what's the first thing that pops into your head? You probably picture long meetings, endless paperwork, and maybe, just maybe, you're trying to stifle a yawn. Is it the dynamic heart of a company's strategy, or is it just a boardroom?
And that really gets to the heart of it. Look, it might not be the most exciting topic in the world, but having strong governance, it's the absolute bedrock of success and survival. For any business, any nonprofit, any organization that's serious about its mission, this is totally non-negotiable. Okay, so why is it so critical? Let's jump into our first section here and really understand why good governance is the engine quietly running in the background, driving both success and stability. You see, good governance is so much more than just a set of rules. It's about actively managing risk, seeing what's coming around the corner. It guides the big picture strategy and fuels that long-term sustainable growth. And maybe most importantly, it makes sure the whole operation is ethical and compliant, which is how you build real, lasting trust with everyone from your investors right down to your customers. So now that we've established why it's so important, let's get crystal clear on what it actually is. This next part is all about defining those fundamental roles and really zooming in on the board's main purpose. So, put simply, governance is the playbook. It's the set of rules and procedures that steers the entire ship. It's not about the day-to-day grind, not at all. It's about the high-level, big-picture strategy and the major decisions that chart the course for the entire organization. This slide is so important because it lays out a really critical distinction. On one side, you have the board, which is focused on governance. Their job is the why, the long-term vision, the strategic oversight. Then on the other side, you have management, handling operations. They're all about the how, the daily tasks, the execution. Keeping these two separate is absolutely key. It's what keeps the board from getting lost in the weeds and micromanaging everything. And here's the thing, not all boards are built the same way. There are different models you can choose from, and finding the right fit for your organization is just crucial. So let's think of these options as a kind of toolkit you can use to build the perfect board. We're going to walk through 4 of the most common structures you'll see out there: the governing board, the executive board, the working board, and the advisory board. And as you'll see, each one has a very different job. First up, we've got the most traditional model, the governing board. You can think of these folks as the guardians of the organization. Their main job is high-level oversight and guiding the CEO and the senior team. This is the classic setup you'd find in a big, mature company where stability is the name of the game. Next is the executive board, and this is where those lines we talked about start to get a little blurry. The members here are way more hands-on, and they often jump right into operational decisions with the management team. You see this a lot in family-run companies or businesses where the founders are still deeply involved day-to-day. Then you've got the working board. This one is super common in startups and smaller organizations. Here, board members are basically wearing 2 hats. They're helping with the big strategy, but they're also rolling up their sleeves and getting their hands dirty with the actual work. The real challenge? Knowing when it's time to grow up and transition away from this model, because if you don't, it can get chaotic real fast. And finally, we have the advisory board. Now, this is a whole different beast. An advisory board has 0 formal decision-making power. It's a group of outside experts you bring in to give you smart, objective advice. It's perfect if you're, say, entering a new market or facing a big tech change, and you need guidance without giving up any control. So no matter which model you pick, there are some universal principles that every effective board lives by. Let's move on and open up the playbook for peak governance performance. And this says it all, doesn't it? We've mentioned it before, but it is so important it's worth saying again. The board's job is to steer the ship, not to row it. The second they start getting bogged down in daily tasks is the moment they've lost their strategic focus. So here they are, the 5 pillars of any great board. First is responsibility. The board is where the buck stops for all legal and ethical conduct. Then comes accountability. Every big decision needs to be backed up by data and written down. Third is awareness. Board members have to know their industry inside and out to spot those opportunities and threats. Fourth, impartiality. This is huge. It means checking your personal interests at the door and making totally objective decisions. And last but not least, transparency. Documenting everything is how you build that critical trust, both inside and outside the company walls. Now, living up to those 5 principles in the 21st century, well, that pretty much requires modern tools. So for our final section, let's take a look at how technology is totally changing the game for good governance. I mean, think about it. With so much remote and hybrid work these days, technology isn't just a nice to have, it's essential. The right digital tools are making the whole governance process faster, smarter, more secure, and ultimately, they hold everyone more accountable.
Honestly, dedicated board software is a total game changer. It takes care of all the administrative headaches, scheduling, agendas, getting documents to the right people securely. That frees up the board to focus on what actually matters, strategy. Features like secure online voting and tracking tasks make sure that decisions get made and things actually get done. It's all about streamlining the boring stuff so you can elevate the important stuff.
And that really brings us to the final most important question you should be asking yourself. After all of this, think about your own organization. Is your governance treated like a true strategic asset that's driving you forward? Or is it just a compliance checkbox you have to tick off a list? Because honestly, the answer to that question could very well define your future.